morning. Let's come together, people. It is a beautiful 11 a.m. in Portland, Oregon. My sleep is all over the place. I am excited about my trip coming up in September. I was trying to get another trip in. I have a couple free plane tickets. Let me turn on the air conditioning. I had a couple. Hi, everybody. How you doing? I have a couple, those free flights because I had to cancel something, and now I'm deciding I have to use it by July 28th. KLM. So anywhere KLM flies, it's a free plane ticket, So where should I pop to Sweden for a week? What would you do if you had a free plane ticket? Yeah. Austria, Sweden. Those were the two I was thinking of for KLM. In September 2nd, I had a ticket for Ireland with, what was it, Aer Lingus? I had a discount coupon with Aer Lingus or something. I don't know. Anyway, so I got like a bunch off. So I got a round trip ticket to Ireland for $600. Yeah. And you can stay in capsule hotels and stuff. So if you can take time off the big thing is to take time off for work because you're not going to be earning money if you take a week and a half off or something like that. The travel has become really affordable with coupons, etc. The big expense for most people now is loss of wages and getting your boss to let you take time off, right? So that's frustrating for people. I see that I'm in only members being allowed. I'm going to switch it over to subscribers. So if you subscribe, you guys can comment. I don't know why we did it that way. Anyway, so I'm still recovering from my bout. That was the first time I had ever had COVID. So that was kind of interesting. I'd never had COVID before. And it's kind of interesting because okay, that's good. It's kind of interesting because, I was wearing a mask. I don't usually wear a mask. And I thought, okay, I'll go ahead and I'll wear a mask on the plane. I'll be responsible. I'll be this nice adult. And sure enough, when I'm being extra cautious, that's when I get COVID. So my sister, who was a nurse, she always would wear everywhere. I wouldn't get COVID, even on the same flight. We were coming back, my sister and I, from KLM. We were flying back from Amsterdam. She got COVID, I didn't. I feel great, Ocean Star. When you're sick, I was really sick. And I was vaccinated 3 times. I had a booster and everything. So I can't imagine what COVID is like. People who say it's no big deal, I don't know which bug you got, but I had a booster and I could could not walk. I could not walk. So, all right. I want to give a shout out to our floor director, Joel Tilson. Much love to him and gratitude for helping us today. Joel will be monitoring to make sure everyone's questions are answered. This is our Sunday show where anything goes. We talk politics. If you have a good question, then by all means ask it. Fillerin, my dear friend Fillerin, is helping today with moderation, and I appreciate that. Yes, we see the collapse of Russia and the D-Day that is starting for Crimea. People had wanted to have a big dramatic D-Day like the one we had when they landed on the beaches of Normandy and they got shot to death like birds in a cage. We've learned a lot since Normandy, people. We don't have to kill a bunch of NATO forces in order to take back Crimea. It's dramatic, Normandy, but there are other ways we can take Crimea, and the West is taking Crimea now, doing it without so many people dying. People were disappointed that the taking of Crimea wasn't as dramatic as the taking of Normandy, but we don't need drama. We need our soldiers to come back in one piece. So the first thing they did was they started cutting supply routes and communications, military communications, and that is why the military began to flee Crimea. I had said, based on the remotes, that they were going to do heavy hitting. They had planned to do major attacks June 17th, June 18th, and in fact, they did do a major offensive on the 18th. And that I personally, my message to people in Crimea, based on the data that I was getting as a remote viewer, was you need to get out of Crimea. I can't stress that enough. They're taking Crimea. Wanting to see more dead or wanting it to be like World at War. Again, things have changed since then. Didn't they take out the bridge? They've taken out the communications. They've shut down a lot of their electronic communications. So let it happen with the least amount of deaths, right? But that is, in fact, what is happening. And yeah. Well, it's terrible. It's a terrible thing to invade a country and do what Russia has done. And I can't imagine anybody supporting them. The insanity of what's gone on in France, that people would vote for Le Pen and children being taken from their, I mean, it's so sick. What Russia has done is beyond evil. So the fact that France would bring in, I mean, what was the name? It's like what was it, the Vichy? Was that the name of the pro-Nazi party in France, the Vichy? I mean, that's basically what they are. It's the Vichy all over again. You had French people waiting while the Nazis marched on Paris, welcoming them with flowers. And that's basically what Le Pen's party is. It will not sit well with the people of France. I think we're going to see a lot of revolution. I think we're going to see a lot of fighting in Paris. And not just Paris. People are not going to tolerate this. And support for the Ukrainian war, it's too late, I think, for Putin. It's like he wanted to blame Shogu for the fact that the military didn't have. Remember when you guys asked me to go into the military budget last year for Russia? That was fun. You guys remember that? You guys sent me in to take a look at financial documents. I'm glad you did that, by the way. Was that Joel who asked me to do that? The point is, I think it was, the point is to look at how they were doing. It was quite a revelation, because what came out from that, Joel, is that they had bankrupted their own military and given it to their pal, Prigozhin. And as a result, Shogu was the person that had to tell them that they didn't have any money. And now it's public that Shogu was responsible for them missing close to $1 billion. So, it's always an honor and a privilege to be a remote viewer, because you get to be that fly on the wall, right? You get to be that fly on the wall that gets to be part of those conversations that are now public conversations. What is Russia going to do with the fact that they no longer have a military at this point? What do they really have? I mean, what was it? We did a remote and they still had a Navy left, and then NATO went and blew up 2 of their ships. 48 hours later. I think we all had a good laugh, though the Russians might have had, that's right, we did a remote view that they were targeting 3 ships, and we told them to get the ships out of there, and they didn't. In 48 hours, they blew 2 of them up. So, I know, it's horrible. Well, they shouldn't have invaded Ukraine, right? The Netherlands, yeah, Philorine. I've gone to the Netherlands many, 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 many times, because when you fly in through KLM. And also I used to live in Europe, and we would in Frankfurt, so it wasn't a big deal to go to drive over to Amsterdam. Yeah. So, regarding his support of North Korea, I think that is also an expression of just how isolated Putin is, right? Yeah. Well, right, Wendy. Offering nukes or nuclear information to North Korea. These are all ways of Putin desperately trying to get negotiations with the West, because he doesn't have a military. According to Joel Tilson, the Ukrainian army military has wiped out another Russian fleet in the Black Sea. Yeah, I mean, do they have a military at this point? No, probably not. A gas station with nukes. Well, let's go ahead. We'll do the Empath prayer, and then after that, we'll do a collective reading. Does that work for people? My nose is running. I need to get some tissue. My kitty, I'm adapting to my kitty cat. Hold on. All right. You guys still nervous about Trump and Putin and Joe Biden? I don't see Trump winning, but maybe something weird will happen. Hi, Debbie. Good to see you. Debbie Brady is a creative consultant. She's also a talent manager. I think her rate, if you need representation, I think her rates are fairly inexpensive if you're shopping around for someone to direct your show. I think she only charges a couple $100 a month. I don't know what her tier program is, but I used her product for 6 months when I was revamping, and it's definitely worth the money. So please check out Debbie Brady. Hi, Debbie. Thanks for your help. Are we ready for the Empath's prayer, you guys? I wanted to give an announcement also about our book, written by Audrey Steidl. Audrey, I sent you an email. Could you please write me back about being on the show Tuesday at 6 p.m., Taco Tuesdays Book Club. We'd like to do an exclusive with Audrey Steidl. I forgot the book when I was, excuse me, when I was in Japan, and I had just gotten into it, so I was so frustrated that I didn't have my book with me. What's interesting about this book, I'm starting to get really nervous for the main character, because I always feel like everything that glitters is not gold. And Audrey Steidl in the book, when she goes to Britain, she's an actor, she, best place in the world to study theater. But there's a naivete about Audrey in the book, and you feel that she is so open, and she is in a way so naive. and she's entering into a world where everything is not as it appears. So that is the brilliant novel by The Fallen. It's based on a true story about Audrey. She went to Britain to study theater, and she gets pulled into a very bizarre world with some wild things, including a ghost. There's some crazy stuff that happens, and it's all based on the truth. Anyway, it's a great book. I got really sucked into it fairly early on. And I get the thing that makes me nervous. I'm telling you, the whole time I read this book is I just have this sense that this person is in danger but doesn't realize it. Yeah, it's like a little lamb to slaughter. Oh, I'm going to study theater in England, and it's all going to be so nice. And then these people start to show up, and they're a little too attractive. You ever meet people a little too nice, you're a little too sexy, you're a little too attractive. Things are not, you're setting up that something is just not that feeling. Like, don't you go into that relationship? Don't you give that guy your phone number? Yeah, anyway, so that is The Fallen. Check it out. Okay, let's do the empath's prayer. Okay, I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively, we say, Amen. Yeah, somebody said that they were disappointed that, D-Day, they wanted to see a massive troops parachuting onto, it's like, no, that's not how it works anymore. We want to we don't want our soldiers to die because it makes for good film footage. No. Trust me, Crimea is being taken in a responsible, strategic way with the least amount of deaths on both sides. That's what we want, and that's what's happening. Hi, Jiggy Pardo Lord. Soon, I believe you're going to be a teacher soon. Is that correct? I believe Jiggy is now building her teaching. We have the teachers build their own teaching platform. So we need to see your syllabus that you're going to be giving your students, but also all of the notes for how you're going to teach the course. Every point you're going to make. I do additional handouts and stuff when I teach the course, and I get into everything from, what it is to be a remote viewer. It's a 10-week course. By the way, the mythical tarot, how to read the tarot as a psychic remote viewer, and the mythical tarot is starting Wednesday at 6 p.m. This will be class 2. Yes, you will learn to read biblical Hebrew by the end of the course. That is one of the things we offer as we teach biblical Hebrew. So if you would like to be able to read the Torah in the original language and learn tarot and learn how Torah and tarot are in fact connected, the Torah was probably developed as a picture book for people who could not read, as most women, sadly, were illiterate. They could not read or write. They couldn't read the Torah. And so probably picture books were used in the Silk Road to communicate the stories for people who could not read. Isn't that nice? And that was how the picture books were formed. The judgment of the Torah, the world, Olam Haba, all of these come from early picture books, probably from the Silk Road. Yeah. All right, here is your collective reading. It is your message from Spirit. And if it doesn't apply to you, you can just go ahead and send it off to somebody else. But it's a smorgasbord. We just ask Spirit to give us a collective message for the week, and we wait and see what Spirit has to say to us. Let's take a look. What will be? Thanks, Debbie. Debbie also runs our fan pages. Thank you. She promotes you if you hire her. She promotes your stuff. Well, what you are entering into right now, those of you who are looking for guidance, what is your spiritual guidance at this time? They say now is the time to dream. Now is the time to construct new dreams. It's like me. I keep putting my book on hold. A lot of people want to read the book about remote viewing. But I procrastinate because I'd rather be doing something else. The Queen of Cups is your base card, and the Queen of Cups has to do with the ability to be romantic, to dream, and to rub your lamp. So it's a very creative time for you. The problem is, are you organized? I was listening to an interview with Maya Musk. It's Elon Musk's mother. And she's just a really cool woman, very, very successful. And people wanted to know, well, why is she so wildly successful? You know, she's a model at 74, beautiful. Dietitian, she keeps a very disciplined diet. So the point is that you have to have a combination of the ability to dream. That's what Maya Musk was saying, but you also have to be disciplined and organized. She's highly organized. So she moved to New York, so she has her modeling, but she also has clients. She's still a practicing dietitian. And she's also a writer. She's writing books, right? And I think she's doing a lot of nonprofit stuff. The point is how do highly effective people get all these things done? And they do it by being organized and believing in themselves and having big dreams, big visions. But every day you have to work on that vision. This is the visionary's card who rubs her lamp. But you must stop with the procrastination. Great ideas that you're building, but you've got to build on them. Four of Wands is your karma card. Four of Wands is to have 4 posts. You've got the basic ideas all right for what you're trying to do, but you've got to be consistent. It can't just be living in the world of Queen. I live in the world of Queen of Cups. My job is to be a Queen of Cups, right? To dream the dream for people, right? But I also have to learn from Maya Musk that I have to be disciplined. You know, she's up at 6 a.m. doing calisthenics, right? Doing her exercises, eating her healthy, mostly plant-based diet. Nothing like her kids, right? Actually, I think her son has a farm to table. What's his name? Trip. So the point is that she is not just creative. She's creative and disciplined, right? 4 of Wands means you've got a foundation, but you have to build on that foundation every day, every day. What is the purpose of building on your foundation? You have a moral responsibility to leave a legacy of your work for future generations. Why is it so vital that we leave a legacy? The Torah talks extensively about this. Why is it so dang important for us to leave a legacy? Anybody want to tackle that? Legacy? I'm nobody. What legacy? That's the problem. You're going to die, whether you want to admit it or not. If you don't tell other people how to do your work is going to be gone forever. And then people are going to have to start it all over again, which is extremely rude, right? So if they can get something from your autobiography, if they can get something from your lessons, from your legacy, this is one of the greatest things we can leave future generations. And if you have not thought in terms of your legacy, it's considered rude. You look at the life of Abraham Avinu, Abraham in the Quran. All he did was think about his legacy. My future generations, what land are they going to inherit? Are they going to fight about the land? Yes. Ishmael and Isaac are going to be fighting about the land you purchased. He purchased the land. The problem wasn't that Abraham didn't purchase the land. He bought it fair and square. The problem was he had 2 kids that had a land dispute that's been going on for almost 4,000 years, right? So what do we learn? You know, this is a conversation also I've heard from rabbis. What do we learn from the story of Abraham? get your legacy in order so that this doesn't happen. Fight happened for 4,000 years because somebody didn't get his legacy. He didn't straighten it out. That's the danger if we don't leave a very clear instruction for our legacy. Your first house is the High Priestess, which is about gaining knowledge, teaching, wisdom, the Torah, so that you can leave a legacy. I think about my legacy all the time. I will die. Who's going to be teaching heart-centered remote viewing? Or are we going to have to start all over again? People are going to have to go back to the Bond technique from thousands of years ago and Vajrayana and Mahakali and all this crap and try and organize it into a modern teaching course? That's rude. I should not have done that to my future students, right? I have a moral responsibility to get HCRV organized so that these poor students that are talking about, like Jiggy, who came from that legacy, are like, yeah, thanks a lot, Dr. Whimsy. You've made more work for us, right? So that is one of the important things of legacy. It stands as a testimony to what you gave your life to, but also that you respect your future students enough to give them a guidepost, the High Priestess. Your crossing problem at this time, you want to avoid heavy work. How many of you are lazy? Let's be honest here. Procrastinating. Joel, are you procrastinating? Heavy work lay ahead. If you want to achieve anything great in life, you must be willing to work hard. What is above you? I see future travel for many of you. What you're sitting in mastery. Now is the time for you to master and write and organize what your legacy was. What did you learn in this lifetime? What you're coming out of, your own internal power. Stop minimizing your power. Stop underestimating just how powerful you are because you don't want to do the work. You're telling yourself a lie that you are not powerful, perhaps because you don't want to do the work you're required to do. Well, who am I? I'm not important. I don't have to get the syllabus organized for class next week. Well, what about all the people that paid for the class? You see what I'm saying? We have to be willing to step into our power. Saying it's somebody else's problem and kicking the can down the road is not going to keep you from your destiny. It's only going to delay it. And what you're coming into is the time of power. So this Wednesday at 6 p.m., if people are asking about wanting to get into class, if you are a member at the Elders and Empaths level, it's $9.99 a month. You'll be given access to the classes. Classes are usually on Fridays in the summertime. I couldn't do it this Friday because my sleep was messed up. So I'm going to give it to people on Wednesday, and I'll try and do another class on Friday. I don't mind hanging out and teaching class. I just have to be awake. I was coming back from Japan, and I got COVID, and so I just needed an extra day. But yeah, so Wednesday, 6 o'clock, and you'll be able to see the video posted. And if you are a member at the Elders and Empaths level, you just click it and it'll turn on for you because it's for members. Yeah, look at this. You're entering into a time of passion. I have to do this too. I have people that love me I have people who love me that are under this delusion that I'm a lot more important than I am. I mean, I met this wonderful guy and all he does is talk about how great I am. And it's like, I don't think you know me very well, you know? Yeah. You know, new love, they always think you're like this incredible. It's like, boy, are you going to be disappointed when you find out who I really am, right? Anyway, where you're at right now, large sums of money. If you want to be rich, if you want to have large sums of money, you got to treat your business like a business. But I do see potential for large amounts of money for many of you. Have more faith in yourself. The Fool is coming into 8th position. It's your opposition, which means you hold back too much. The hope and the fear, financial, we all have that, particularly as we get older. We all worry it's never going to be enough, right? Look at Meghan and Harry. We thought that they had plenty of money until we sat down and talked to Meghan and Harry and realized that people are threatening to kidnap their great grandkids that haven't even been born yet, right? So all of us may have different needs. You know, I think 100K a year is a pretty damn great salary. But if you're Meghan and Harry and people are trying to kidnap your kids, it's not going to be nearly enough, right? So again, what is enough for you may not be enough for somebody else, right? The hope and the fear, the finances. You can see here again in your 7th house, money moving into 7th position, which is immediate environment. Final outcome is King of Wands, who is the consort of the Queen of Wands. Be a go-getter. Have that aggressive energy and be around other people that are encouraging your dreams, that are encouraging your entrepreneurship. Remember, if all you can do is dance, then dance. Remember people like Julie Andrews, right? Her family was poor. They couldn't even feed her. The only thing she knew how to do is dance, and so she danced and she put food on the table. So whatever your gifts or your skills are, use them to the best of your ability and say, you know what, I am a business person. This is what I can do. I got to work it and I got to work it well. I have to do it to the best of my ability. It's all about legacy. Spiritual message is all about the legacy that you will leave, that you are. Find out who your family is. That's the other thing that's a warning to people. Find out who your family is and who your family is not. You're under no moral responsibility to maintain relationships with people that are abusive to you. And furthermore, they can inspire you, people that push your buttons. But if you're wasting time on them, it's time that is not being spent doing the work you need to be doing in the world. You have an obstacle with family. I have that too. You know, in Buddhism, they talk about the obstacles in our life, like our parents can be an obstacle. Our families can be an obstacle. Our politicians or the political situation we're raised into, our teachers, our health, right? Buddhism talks about us having all of these challenges in life. Unfortunately, for many of you, family relationships, toxic people close to you, they can be an obstruction to your development. Now, sometimes the devil can be an advantage. If somebody acts as a Satan to you, if somebody acts as the adversary in your life, it could be that they're just pushing you to fight harder. I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to go get that doctoral degree. Then what did the person do? They did you a favor by pushing you forward. So look to the Satans, the adversaries in your life. Are they making you angry so that you become even greater? Or are they just dragging you down and making you less effective? Time to take a serious look at those types of relationships in your life. Yeah, time to get rid of people. Devil is not good. And when you've got it juxtaposition with 10 of Pentacles, that's very bad, because it means that 10 of Pentacles is your legacy, which is what we were talking about today. It's also your family inheritance. So that has me nervous. It's very hard to create boundaries with family members. I get it. I get it, people. I get it. Yeah. I just thanked an ex-boyfriend who was always critical of me, because to prove him wrong, I accomplished a lot of great things. I went and became a doctor. I went and did all these other. Now, my ex-boyfriend doesn't bother me at all. I mean, I can joke about it, because I realized that I just invented this fight with him so that I could prove him wrong. It was all inside my own head because I was trying to achieve something. And once I realized that it was just a story I was telling myself to spur me on, I realized that I had created that person in my life as a motivation. So that can be really positive. But then you have the other side, which is the Satan, where you're just wasting your time trying to get people to like you that don't like you. And furthermore, they're actually trying to sabotage you. And that's a different conversation. Yeah. It's one thing to be highly critical. It's another thing to be outright trying to sabotage you. And those are two separate things. My ex-boyfriend was not out to sabotage me. He was just, hypercritical in ways that I needed, right? Yeah, your late wife made you a better person. My ex-boyfriend made me a better person. I didn't always like hearing the truth, that I needed to work hard, that the world isn't going to hand me a doctoral degree. Who the hell wants to listen to that? I wanted peaches and cream and to be fed chocolate every night, but that would not have made me a doctor. I needed a critical person to come in and give me the facts and not sugarcoat it. So the person who's criticizing you is actually your best buddy from a spiritual perspective, if that's what's happening. Yeah. Okay, well, when we get the order, we will blitz. That's a powerful reading today, don't you think? But man, I don't like that 10 of Pentacles with the devil, you guys. You're going to have to face it, whatever that is. I know what that is in my life. I obsess too much about the opinions of people in my family, people that really don't always have my best interest at heart. You know what I mean? So I know what that is, why I got that today, because I'm part of the collective. But for you, it may be something else. Thinking about, here's another example, thinking about people that have hurt you in the family, and then you get upset and you go and have a drink. They upset you to the point where you're engaging in destructive habits. That would be another example of devil, with that 10 of Pentacles, where you're trapped by your own family. I got to take care of an abusive relative. That would be an example of devil with 10 of Pentacles. Yeah. Or you don't like how your family inherited their wealth. Devil with 10 of Pentacles is the Windsor family, isn't it? Right? All right. So the first question we have coming, I'm just going to go ahead and blitz away for people since we do have the order. Joel wants to know about the collapse of Russia. I can't even imagine how they're paying for things. Now they're taking money out of the school budget to pay for the war. So no more school books, no more schools being built. They're looking at their existing budget, Russia, and they're taking whatever money is left and they're putting it towards the war effort. Let's take a look. Money, they need an income source, and the problem is that the sanctions were hurting them with the income source. They're getting a new income source, new jobs. They could be selling oil to China, but they're looking at income sources. Page of Pentacles. Look at this. They're fighting the Queen of Wands. My way or the highway, and also boundaries, the Queen of Wands. Understand the Queen of Wands is the card for Ukraine, the woman who stands with the sunflower. The hope and fears, they're confused. They don't know what to do. And the final outcome is more money, Ace of Pentacles. They're trying to get past the sanctions. They're defending their territory. Ukraine has a new beginning that is auspicious for them. I see a new weapon and new money coming to Russia. You can see them defending their territory. Look at this new beginning for the Ukraine. Hopes and fears, the Empress. What's this money coming in for Russia? I'm worried that they've got a new deal with Xi and China that's going to help them financially. I need to do a clarification on that because I don't like seeing extreme wealth going to Russia because I don't want them to have this war funded. Also, it looks like France is starting to pull out of support for Ukraine. There's a victory card over the issue of conflict, hopes and fears, and then page of The sword of truth and spy. Oh, Ukraine wins. Ukraine wins. And that's Archangel Michael, which is the patron saint of the Ukrainian military. The card of victory, Ace of Swords, is with Ukraine. Again, Queen of Wands is Ukraine. The fight and healing for Russia. Russia needs to heal. The hopes and fears, being able to move on. Armistice is coming, Ace of Cups. I don't think we can work on armistice with Putin. I think Putin has to leave, just because I can't imagine us negotiating armistice with Putin after what Putin did. Now Putin is talking about the fact that he likes Biden. He thinks Biden is a good president. So he must be looking at everything that we're looking at, and he must be accepting the fact that he's going to have to negotiate a pullout of Ukraine with Biden, because 48 hours ago, he said that he was supporting Biden over Trump, which tells me that Putin is not entirely stupid. I think he can read the writing on the walls that there's a really good chance he's going to have to be communicating with Biden. He also said he didn't believe that Biden was senile. He said that people get sick and people have bad debates, and that when he spoke to Biden, he seemed very alert, and that he doesn't believe Biden has any of these problems, and that he's a politician and that he can work with them. So why all the softening from Putin? I think we all know why there's a softening from Putin. He knows he's lost. Let's take a look at Trump's future. Trump's future. There he is. The emperor is Trump, former president. There are these people, academics around him, studying hopes and fears, armistice. You know, this guy is more concerned with getting saved than he is being the president. Final outcome, I see a trip coming for him in the near future. He's having good news regarding his legal problems. I'm seeing a possible legal case being dropped against him, and for that he's quite happy that he's not going to be prosecuted. However, he's going to be abandoning the political race. They're saying that something happens where he will be forced to abandon the political race. We can see Armistice Day, 3 of Cups over him. Yay, Armistice Day, Armistice Day. Academics over him. He's got a lot of smart people, actually, that are looking at him. Hopes and fears that it will end. And then the outcome here, the race. You know, the Chariot is the race, literally. You guys know that, right? Those of you who read cards. So if you're talking about a political race and you're talking to Spirit, it's going to use the Chariot, which is the card of a race. Well, I mean, think about it. It's a computer in the sky that's trying to answer your questions, like GPT chat or Grok or any of these other AI computer systems. When I work with the cards and with Spirit, it's like asking the computer in the sky, here's the question, you put it through, and out comes an answer, and then you've got to figure out what the hell the computer in the sky is saying. So if you're talking about political races, the Chariot is the race. They're using the same cards for a race, whether it's a race 4,000 years ago or a political race right now. And I think that's very funny. But the cards always use the card of the race, the Chariot. We're racing chariots, right? We're racing a political. Spirit is always used for me, the Chariot. And then you can see the outcome is the hanged man. So I think for me, it's fairly obvious that what the spirit is saying is that a situation is going to come about with Donald Trump where he is going to be forced to bow out of this political race. Now, we don't read the future. What we read is the most likely outcome based on the mathematics or the data that we have right now. For example, Joe Biden has been instructed to just laugh at the absurdity of Donald Trump. But if he's got the flu or a cold, like he did during the debate, and he's not feeling well and he's half asleep, if he had what I had about a COVID, I can tell you your brain is gone and you're not going to be able to debate. It's the luck of the draw. If you're sick, like I was sick, you're gonna do terribly on a debate. But I always get laughter from Joe Biden. I always get laughter at the hysterically stupidity of Donald Trump. And I think going forward, that's what we can expect. Okay, next questions. Comments coming in about whether or not Trump would be forced to flee. No, I don't see him fleeing. I do think that there is something that's going to come up that is going to force him to hang up the race, because that is what Spirit is saying. Now, can it change? Probably not. The future probably cannot change because I think it's too etched in stone. I do want to see about these Epstein files. I was reading on Twitter that people want all the names. You know, they want all the names. And there's a real strong feeling that from people ethically that we have a moral responsibility to release the names of those people. I agree. The names of the client list have been released already, from what I understand, and more is going to be coming out about that. You know, so a great celebration. It's over, walking away, and foolish would indicate that probably, yes, the Epstein information is coming out about Trump. There is allegations by one victim that she was 12 years old. She was tied up and raped by Trump. You know, these are very serious allegations. It surprises me that people who support Trump have not heard these allegations, but they're pretty serious allegations. You can see the celebration of armistice. It's also female power. Here's this investigation card as the opposition of Trump. It's as if saying that investigators are his opposition, hopes and fears that everything's going to fall apart. Look at this legacy. Trump is going down. I don't know how anybody could handle the amount of stress that Trump has handled. I really don't. I mean, most of us would not be able to survive that kind of stress. You know what I mean? But no, I don't see him leaving for Saudi Arabia. I don't even think he would be able to do that because I think we've got extradition. Yeah. I think that if a homicidal killer, if a homicidal killer that was wanted in the United States ran to Saudi Arabia would have no problems extraditing them if it meant problems with future relationship with the U.S. So that wouldn't. I don't anticipate that happening. Okay, so this crazy immunity, as I had mentioned in the previous remote when I was asked to look at Amy Coney Barrett, I believe you had asked me to go in and be Amy Coney Barrett. I was deeply upset with the direction that they were going with Trump and immunity. I broke with Trump for that reason. I also felt like, as Amy Coney Barrett, that I had serious problems with Thomas to the point where I wanted to file formal complaints against him for ethics violations. And so expect further problems between Amy Coney Barrett and Justice Thomas. She's at war with him. She wants him out of there. She's seen a lot of disturbing corruption. And she had said when she was put on the bench that she was not a Trumper forever, and that she had been pegged wrong. And now we're starting to see what she is talking about. But she has declared war on Trump. She has declared war on this. And she has also declared war on some conservative justices. But specifically, I would say that she is going after Thomas. And she may be going after a couple others also. This is a righteous war for her. She has very clear ideas about the Supreme Court, and these folks are, well, we're just going to have to see. I don't know what economic deal they made with her, because she's also having a problem with with them taking money, which leads me to think that she may be cleaner than I had thought. We're just going to have to see him play itself out. But Amy Coney Barrett is at war with the conservative justices right now, and she's made it quite public. And that's what the remotes had shown as well, that she was not going to play along with this. Yeah, so let's take a look. It's the future of the Supreme Court. Future of the Supreme Court. I wasn't surprised by what Amy Coney Barrett had did, because we talked to her, remember? Before I went to, we talked to her, and she said she was going to do that. This is what I mean. You can't read the future, but you can become them, and you can see what they're planning. Either they do it or they don't, which is very different than reading the future. But you can, if somebody says they're plotting to take Crimea and that they're going to hit them June 17th, that's pretty specific. They can still back down, but did they bomb the bridge? Is that what they did? I think they bombed the bridge. And that takes planning. So usually when you have that kind of planning, and they've given us the date, June 18th, it's very unlikely that they wouldn't do it. Because as a remote viewer, you can see how much planning goes into hitting the Kerch Bridge, and the fact that they'd planned it for the 18th and that they were already getting close, which is why I said get out by the 15th. So again, in cases like this, I don't say I read the future. I read people's thoughts and their plots. And so that's how we can get dates. Yes, the Supreme Court is going to be fixed, and it's going to go back and it's going to correct its damage. I assume, because there are new people coming on the bench. You can see a 6 of Cups moving into 7th position, and a 6 of Cups is to return back to the old ways, or it's a romantic return. You can see here also the opposition is a 7 of Pentacles. So people's financial interests are definitely having an impact on the courts, if that's what your question was. The investors, this selling religion when it's really just an attempt to take care of your own finances. You can see Ace of Wands as the final outcome, leads me to think that somebody is leaving the bench. Someone's leaving the bench relatively soon. And, you know what? I think Sotomayor's leaving the bench, which means another liberal, a liberal. So we're looking at one person coming in. I've always seen a Latino coming into the bench, a male. That's exciting. And then a female. So we've got one male coming in and one female. And it looks like Sotomayor is going to be one of the people stepping down. Yeah, in the next year or so, I'm thinking female, dark-haired, stepping down. Unless, I don't think it's Amy Coney Barrett. And they have said that there's pressure on her to step down because she's evidently having some health challenges. Trouble seeing, that's one of the things that they've talked about. This can happen with people who have diabetes. They can begin to have retinopathy and other challenges. So she's having trouble seeing things. She's having some of the natural problems you get with the progression of the disease. And for that reason, she's probably going to prep to step down. If it were me and I was in this situation, I would wait until Biden was reelected, and then, a good 6 months in, when things are stable, I would announce that I'm stepping down. I think that's the best way that she can preserve the court. Yeah. Good judge. She's a very good judge. Joel Tilson says that $600 billion was saved by Putin before the war, and so I don't know where the money, but this looked, Joel, like he was getting a new contract with China for oil, and that may have been where the money was coming from. Looks like Ukraine had another Russian fleet wiped out. Yeah, I mean, the ego. He can't. He did such terrible things in Ukraine. I mean, it's not going to probably stop until NATO marches on Moscow. That's what we said. And look, by the way, I'm not happy about that. I mean, we talked about that 6 years ago, where I was asked as a remote viewer to comment on what Putin was doing. And it said he would take Ukraine because he planned on spreading his he wanted the lights of Moscow to never set. He didn't want the sun to set on Moscow. So when he had announced that 6 years ago, everybody was in denial. I don't know why we were in denial. He went on record. We taped it all. And I remember very clearly my response was, if you do this, NATO will march on Moscow. Well, he did it. I said he wouldn't because I want to always think the best of people. I was wrong. Instead, I should have listened to the remote I gave. So he's saying something and I'm delivering it, and then you're asking oh no, he wouldn't do it. He did it. And then we were all shocked. Why are we shocked? He said he was going to do it. You taped it in 2017. Remember, Wim? See, well, yes, but I still didn't believe it, right? So he was very committed to doing that. And because Putin was so committed to doing that, how hard is it going to be for him to then turn around and say, well, I was wrong. We lost 1 million people. I was wrong. I think I'm going to turn around and go home now. No, he's going to double down. And he's going to do everything in his power to make sure that he wins this war. He's not going to stop until he's stopped. And so for that reason, when you put everything together, the U.S. is marching on Moscow. It's very sad. And it makes you realize, when you are a remote viewer and you can step back and look at egos and and just step aside and look at things as they are, you start to realize with horror that most of what people do is based on ego and emotionalism, and it can result in horrible things like children getting kidnapped, people getting raped. I mean, people killed. It's just because of somebody's ego, and that's terrifying to me. All right, so the next question coming in, Joel Tilson wants to know about the GOP. Are they going to revolt, or are we going to see a revolt on the GOP floor? Or are they going to just embrace Trump 100%? Let's take a look. Classes, if you're asking about classes, They are available at the Elders and Empaths level. It's $9.99, and you'll get a notification. And also, just check the videos are. I teach class Fridays and Wednesdays at 6 p.m. If I don't make it on Wednesday, I make it on Friday. And usually I put up the link an hour before class. I think this is one of my favorite classes that I'm teaching is the Mystical Tarot. I really like teaching Mystical Tarot. Okay, I got to see this GOP. Oh my Lord, are they in trouble? It's a new beginning for the GOP. What's starting to happen at the GOP is that they don't want certain people from the Trump family to speak. They've actually are beginning to have conflicts. They don't want Don Jr. to talk. They're saying, should we let him talk? This is private data for you guys. That's not public information. Well, they just feel like he acts crazy and he says crazy things. Some people want him to speak. Some people don't want him to speak. If he is going to speak, they say they have to be very careful about what he says. So you can't just get up there at the GOP and start talking about how it's a rigged election or talking about how my father, they're coming to get my father. That crap is not going to fly at the GOP convention. And so there's an active discussion right now about what Trump family members can and can't say at the convention. And that means that Don Jr. is in trouble with we don't want you talking. You've made things worse. You say crazy stuff. Yes, they're going to be fighting on the floor. You can see here. There are people accusing people of all kinds of things. And there is an organized walkout or protest plan for the GOP. Yeah. Organized 2 of Wands, 2 of Cups over the fight. They're fighting about how mismanagement of funds. Okay, we're just going to have to see it play itself out. But yes, there will be a fight next week. That is true. I'm going to enjoy watching it. All right. Well, that was fun. Thanks for hanging with me. And thanks for sending me those good vibes when I recovered from COVID. If you're trying to get in for a reading with me, I have openings. Tomorrow I'm back. Do I have openings tomorrow? I don't know. I definitely have openings this week. If you need to see me, just set an appointment. I will call you. I think the information is, I will put it below this video. It's the Booksy link, or Debbie or somebody else can post it if you need to see me. England rejoining the EU, that's such a good question. I think, no, the EU said just leave and that you couldn't come back. And so they've really shot themselves in the foot. It's going to be very, very difficult. Now, there are people in the EU that want to allow them to come back in, but they really hurt themselves. And it's a shame because they did, I told you, the Tories, House of Lords, and members of the British royal family took bribes from Russia. You know that, right? Thomas Kingston, who was handling this money, right? And then his colleague gets investigated for dirty Russian money. And the next thing you know, Thomas Kingston has taken his own life. So how many people were compromised through his business? This is the real story, not somebody having an affair. Rich people don't kill themselves over affairs. They kill themselves when the feds, when they're being investigated for international bribery. And everybody that took money from you is going down. Michael of Kent, Princess Michael, all these people are going down because they all took money. That's what's going on with the royal family. Yes. Okay, if you ordered a Wizio for me, I will get those videos out today. Those are 5-minute quick videos. Debbie put that information up for people. That's for people who cannot afford a half-hour reading. I do 5 minutes for like $30. Anything else I need? Oh yeah, check out our merch. Nigel Farage. Yes, what a freaking joke. Oh my God, you guys. Get out there and get some sun, you guys. Build your legacy, man. Did that reading today scare you as much as 10 of Pentacles? I got to get organized. I'm just too lazy. I got to get my book written. All right, Rose Blue. Well, thank you for joining us. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. And I guess I'll see you next time. Love